One of the new cardinal elects is Timothy Radcliffe, who is a Dominican priest. In 2012, he wrote that homosexual relationships should be, quote, cherished and supported. What we're looking at is somebody who is a radical homosexualist who is accused of being a homosexual himself, and for Pope Francis to elevate him and to allow him to speak on that topic at the Synod on Synodality, it speaks volumes as to which direction he wants the Synod to take.
Today, I want to talk about new cardinals being announced to include Timothy Radcliffe, somebody who seems to embrace heresy. We're going to be talking about that with Michael Hichborn. There's also a new report out about big giving at Catholic organizations to pro-abortion causes. We're going to be having that conversation. It was covered by The World Over Live and Raymond DeRorio this past week. And Michael Hichborn joins us today on the anniversary of the Battle of Lepanto from the Lepanto Institute. Notice the timing of that. Praise be to God.
By the way, my name is Joe McLean. I host a radio program called A Catholic Take, where we look at the world through a Catholic lens. I'd love for you to hang out with us. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Pope Francis has made an announcement that he's elevating 21 new cardinals. This is a huge class of cardinals that will be going into the next opportunity to elect a pope, which is very, very interesting to say the least, that he keeps adding more and more to it. But what's really caught a lot of people's attention is the fact that one of those cardinals, a Dominican by the name of Timothy Radcliffe, is going to be receiving the red hat. And a lot of people are very, very concerned about that. We've invited Michael Hichborn from the Lepanto Institute to be on the show today to talk about this and more. Let's start with the cardinals. What do you think about it? What do you think in general about the number of cardinals Pope Francis seems to be elevating?
Well, the real question that we have to start with is how many of them are electors. If we're going to talk about the elevation of a bunch of new cardinals, is he expanding the electorate in the College of Cardinals, or is he just appointing new advisors for different aspects of what he's trying to do as Pope? So it's a question of who's electing. I mean, one of the cardinals, or one of the new cardinal elects, is Timothy Radcliffe, who is a Dominican priest. He's not a bishop, so he won't be elevated as a cardinal bishop or a cardinal archbishop. He's going to be a cardinal priest, which is typically an advisory position, but he turns 80 in 10 months, so he's really not much in line for as an elector. So the real question is, well, what's the game here? Why is he being elevated? Timothy Radcliffe, he is a radical homosexualist. Back in the 1980s, Father John O'Connor of happy memory did a series on the homosexual infiltration of the Catholic Church. And he spent an awful lot of time focusing on Father Radcliffe, who he accused of actually being a homosexual himself.
Wow.
So there are deep, grave concerns with Father Timothy Radcliffe. But I want to go over a couple of things that he has said over the years. Edward Penton did a really great piece on this in 2015. And here are some of the highlights. In 2005, Father Radcliffe was said that homosexual inclinations should not bar men from the priesthood, but that those who oppose the candidacy should be. In 2006, Father Radcliffe said that accompanying homosexuals means watching movies like Brokeback Mountain, reading gay novels, living with gay friends, and listening with them as they listen to the Lord. In 2012, he wrote that homosexual relationships should be, quote, cherished and supported, and that the God of love can be present in every true love. Now, this one is the one that really upset me. In 2013, he said in regard to same-sex relationships, quote, we cannot begin with the question of whether it is permitted or forbidden. We must ask what it means and how far it is Eucharistic. Certainly, wow. It can be generous, vulnerable, tender, mutual, and nonviolent. So in many ways, I think it can be expressive of Christ's self-gift. And then he said, homosexual relationships can be, quote, expressive of mutual fidelity, a conventional relationship in which two people bind themselves to each other forever.
I don't even know what to say. Like, that is so stunning. That is amazing.
It's
So
blasphemous.
what in the world would this guy have any business doing with the red hat, for starters, let alone still being a priest in good standing? You know, the scandals grow. Marco Rupnik is a classic example. Theodore McCarrick, they laicized him as quickly as they could. We still don't have all the details of his crimes and infidelities to Holy Mother Church. Marco Rupnik still being in good standing. And there are many, many other examples. This guy has to go on the list of an example that creates schism and division and scandal in Holy Mother Church. And we're giving him a red hat. How are we to spin that as positively as possible? I don't even understand. I don't know how to make positive out of this circumstance.
Well, it gets even worse than that because Timothy Radcliffe was appointed as the Synod Retreat leader at the Synod on Synodality opening just last week. And the theme of this retreat was what the church can learn from LGBTQ Catholics. So what we're looking at is somebody who is a radical homosexualist, who is accused of being a homosexual himself, who he's notorious for this. And for Pope Francis to elevate him and to allow him to speak on that topic at the Synod on Synodality, it speaks volumes as to which direction he wants the Synod to take and what he wants the Synod to discuss and how he wants the Synod to discuss it. In other words, this is a revolution that is directly assaulting the moral teachings of the Catholic Church. On something that is an intrinsic evil. It's something for which 5 cities were annihilated. God called it an abomination, one of the 4 sins that cries to heaven for vengeance. So this push is very much a revolutionary push, and we can't look at this as anything but that.
How should we respond to this?
Oh, we should respond by reminding people that this individual, that Timothy Radcliffe, he's an absolute heretic, and we should be calling for his removal from the position and calling for Pope Francis to withdraw the red hat from him. There's nothing left for us to do. We have to call for this. Do I think that we're going to have a Francis 2.0? I don't think so. I think that he has pushed the envelope so hard that to be honest, I think that what's happening here from a spiritual standpoint is the same thing that Elijah called for when he met with the priests of Baal. Go ahead and pour water all over it. Douse the altar with as much water as possible. In fact, dig a moat and fill the moat with water so that the wood is completely saturated and impossible to light. And I think that what he is doing is God is allowing that water to fill the moat, to make it as humanly impossible to see the flame of God. And at that time, that's when the spark will be lit, the flame will come down from heaven, not just to light a flame, but to annihilate what was built.
Is it possible to try to say that maybe they just don't know what they're doing? Maybe they just don't understand the gravity of the matter at which they're doing these things. Can we say anything like that?
No, there's no way. For the head of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis, who was elevated to the position of the papacy in order to preserve and protect the treasury of the church, which means preserving what was handed down to him, the traditions of the church, the teachings of the church. That's why a pope is made a pope. You don't get to that position in ignorance. And there's no way that he doesn't know that homosexuality is intrinsically evil. So for him to do what he's doing is pretty serious. If the cardinals and the bishops of the church today knew what Ted McCarrick was up to before he was elevated to the cardinalate, they would have had not just an obligation to stand against it, but to fly to Rome in person and to prevent it from happening. This is worse. This is worse because Timothy Radcliffe is the ideological equivalent to the kind of rapacious activity that Ted McCarrick was a part of. So what Ted McCarrick did to physical bodies, Timothy Radcliffe is doing to souls. And the cardinals and the bishops have an absolute obligation to fly to Rome and to prevent this from happening.
You know, I love the fact that Raymond DeRorio covered this on the World Over Live, giving it great exposure. Praise be to God. Raymond been doing a lot of wonderful reportage over the years. But this is something that's not new, and that is professional Catholic organizations donating to pro-abortion, pro-gender ideology, and other issues for a very long time. LaPonta's been reporting on this with receipts for a very long time. Michael, welcome back to the show. Tell me about this. Why did Raymond pick this up? What's new in this report?
Well, back in 2016, we actually did a survey of just Catholic Relief Services. What we did is we went to the FEC website. We looked up individuals who had made campaign contributions while identifying their employer as Catholic Relief Services. And what I found is that 98% of those working for Catholic Relief Services were contributing to Democrats and Democrat causes.
Wow.
So as this election cycle was starting to ramp up, I figured, well, let's expand our sample size and let's look for anybody who has worked for, say, the top 7 Catholic charitable organizations in the country. And that included Covenant House, Catholic Charities, Jesuit Refugee Service, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. We also looked through the Knights of Columbus. And the overall pot of what we found in this sample size, 47,000 different data sets, data points. What we found is that 83% of those working for those institutions were giving to pro-abortion Democrats and Democrat causes. And when I say Democrat causes, we're talking about like Act Blue, some of these PAC, political activist, what do they call it?
PACs, yeah, super
PAC.
PACs.
Yeah, super PACs.
Political
so
Action
Act Blue
Committee.
and that kind of thing. That's it. Thank you. And some of the money was actually going to like Emily's List, NARAL,
Wow.
the Human Rights Campaign. Yeah. I don't know if these are matching funds. I just know that these are funds that were going to these political action committees and these candidates.
That's worse.
In the name of these
That's
candidates.
even worse.
It is worse. Yes, it is
It
worse.
may not be matching funds we're talking about. They're just cutting checks. That's worse.
Okay, so you have these individuals who are donating to these candidates and political action committees. But what this says, if you look at the recent Pew survey from, I think it was April, it said that 52% of Catholics in the United States identify as Republican and 44% identify as Democrat. So any sample size that you see of any pool of Catholics should represent that 50-50 split. But here, what you're seeing is not a reflection of the sample size. But for instance, Catholic Relief Services, I told you in 2016, we saw that it was 98% that were giving to Democrats. Now it's 99%. With Jesuit Refugee Service, it's 100%. With Covenant House, it's 97%. So when you look at such large percentages going towards Democrats and Democrat causes, this is not an accident. This is not something that is mere happenstance. What this shows is that the agencies themselves were hiring exclusively those who are of a hard left mentality.
Yeah.
My good friend, Dr. Christopher Mannion, who used to work on Capitol Hill, told me once that Ken Hackett, who used to be the CEO of Catholic Relief Services, told him that he would never knowingly hire a Republican. And it looks like he carried through on that promise. Well, let's start with the old canard that personnel is policy. When you have 99% of your personnel giving to Democrats and Democrat causes, pro-abortion organizations, what that means is that your ideologies as an organization are going to be in line with the same thing. This is probably why we consistently find Catholic relief services participating in the spread of contraception, the promotion of contraception, the education of young children in these just disgusting sexual policies. So that's the first problem. What can the USCCB do about this? Well, it's as Father on Raymond's program pointed out, this is a problem of catechesis. This just goes to show that the bishops have not been taking a firm stand against contraception and against abortion and against homosexuality. They have not been teaching this, and it's spread into the agencies that they are using to, quote, be charitable. You know, these charitable organizations, they're not charities, they're philanthropies. I mean, we have to get that right. But that's really the essence of the problem. And until we start properly catechizing from the pulpit, this is going to continue to be it's going to circle the drain.
Circle the drain. It seems like they're willfully turning a blind eye to this. Would you say that's fair?
I think so. I can't see any other real, I mean, it's been such an issue for such a long time, and they still remain silent on it to such a firm degree. I can't think of how it's not intentional. Part of the problem is that, like Catholic Charities, for instance, Catholic Relief Services, though it is a project of the USCCB, has a lay board, and the bishops don't necessarily have direct control over what Catholic Relief Services does. And the same thing is true for Catholic Charities. And each individual Catholic Charities, though it might be under the bishop's auspices, because it for in each one diocese is kind of autonomous. So the bishop does have influence there. But on the whole, it's very difficult for the bishops to make any real inroads to change things.
Did you like that video? It's okay. You can admit it. It's perfectly fine. Hey, we cover the big stories of our day, from inside the church to outside the church to all points in between, and we do it from a Catholic perspective. It's called A Catholic Take. It's a radio program Monday through Friday. We live stream it right here on this channel, by the way, so make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We would be very grateful to you. And don't forget, you're going to want to watch this video right here because you don't want to miss anything.